with the extra point. This is Erik McKinney, joined by Greg Katz. Greg, it certainly looks like we are going to get to see USC football on the field this fall in a 2020 season, whatever that sort of shape ends up taking. Looking at this team, who is your most important player? And we're taking Kedon Slovis out of this. Kedon Slovis is, any starting quarterback is going to be the most important guy. But outside of Kedon Slovis, your most important player on the field for USC in a 2020 season?
This is a very ambiguous question. But what I will tell you is this. If Elijah Vera Tucker has not signed with an NFL agent, and I don't know whether he has or not, but if he hasn't, I could see him coming back. And of course, that would be sensational news for a position group that needs to have a sensational player coming back. So that's going to be one that I'm going to keep my eye on. Now, he may immediately say, well, I'm already committed and I'm signed or what have you. That could be a situation. But I will tell you, if it wasn't a Tucker, I'm going to assume that the safeties are all going to come back, that everybody's coming back now if they think there's a season. I'm going to look very optimistically. So that being said, I'm still going to look at the offensive line, and I'm going to say Jalen McKenzie, because I think Jalen McKenzie is probably the next man up in terms of he can play guard, he can play tackle, and but what can he really play left tackle? Okay, is he more of a right tackle, or does he want to stay at guard? I could say that the young freshman tackle Rodriguez. He would be someone I would be looking at if it's not those two. But right now, I'm going to say I'm going to roll the dice a little bit, and I'm going to say I'm looking first at Elijah Vera Tucker.
Would be huge news if he came back. Like you said, so many questions about that offensive line, and as writers covering the team, hoping to get out there in spring ball and see some answers along the offensive line, to not be able to do that, frustrating for us. Had to be way more frustrating for offensive line coach Tim Drevno to not be able to roll those guys out there and see what he had to work with. I'm going to go defensive, and I'm going to say Drake Jackson. I think USC needs a big year for him. You have to look at a guy like that at USC, and Kedon Slovis is in this same boat. A guy at USC who gets that much attention as a true freshman, they've got to keep it going. In a marquee program like USC, you can't sort of have that fall off, especially when you've been talking or hearing certainly a lot from other programs about how they develop players at USC and question marks there, and can you get developed at USC, which is certainly being thrown around, within the conference. So I think that's big. And I think just that position, right? It's been a while since, it feels like it's been a while since USC has had that defensive end, outside rush linebacker who has just been an absolute terror for quarterbacks, and where every single snap it's where's that guy, and it can really throw an opposing offense off. I think that's big. And then when you talk about Todd Orlando's defense and the fact that he's going to play some defensive end, he's going to play some outside linebacker, that's a spot where you can use that in recruiting. There's a lot of guys that really like that idea. And there's a lot of guys that can fit in there. And you're talking about going down into Florida or the East Coast or just kind of anywhere in the Southeast to find guys like that. If you sort of have the blueprint set up where you can show them film of, hey, this is what this guy did. Here's the year he had. Now you can go recruit guys with that. I think that becomes a big thing too, not just on the field, but being able to spin it forward and find, have him help you find more guys like that. Again, there's programs like Ohio State that just every year some defensive end shows up and he's the best defensive end in college football. I mean, being able to develop that is a big thing and a spot that really helps your program and helps your defense. So for me, watching Drake Jackson and potentially the year he has, I think is probably the biggest thing for the USC defense.